So we're going to go ahead and start. Thank you for coming. We do appreciate it. Raise your hand if you're new. Wow. Did any of you guys attend the beekeeping? Pat, put your hand down. You're our Jeopardy host. You can't do that. Did any of you go, any of the new people, did you go to the beekeeping field day? And you did? Okay, so is that how you learned about the club? No, you had heard about the club. Well, I'm Linda Williams. I'm one of the leadership team. I'm your president. Ryan, stand up. Ryan is one of our advisory team members. And I don't know where the rest of my leadership team is tonight. Oh, excuse me, Georgina. How could I forget? Most important one, the treasurer, standing right in front of me. That's Georgina, our treasurer. Richard, our secretary, is off in Colorado. He does work back and forth. And Ethan is probably playing with bees someplace, making some wonderful videos for us to watch. So we're always interested, but this is obviously a really busy time because he's heavily involved in his business, so we might not see him for a while here and there. So we have a rolling thing that lists some things, and I try to stop it every now and then. And we'll get to that in a second, and we'll go through a few things. Then we have a wonderful presenter today that we're going to introduce and talk about. Some of it for new people might be a little Greek, but just hang in there, it gets better. It was suggested that I go ahead and put these up on the Facebook page, these slides, and also email. There's 2 ways to join our club for the new people. We don't do dues or anything, we do raffle tickets, okay? We sell raffle tickets, and we have one fundraiser during the year that's done with the annual beekeeping thing. We do have a YouTube video, so if you miss a meeting, if we do it right when Richard's not here, it works sometimes, and other times it doesn't. But we do the best we can to get it up there. But to join, you can join the Facebook. It's Texas Hill Country Beekeepers Association -members, because there's another one that says exactly the same thing, but that's just general, it's public. The members one is private, and that's where we do all our talk and everything. So that's one way. If you're not a social media person, you can join our email list. Anything that's important, as far as an event or something coming up, or information that we feel is vital, we will send you an email. We don't put everything from Facebook on there, but we send you the important things so you can be kept in the loop. But you have to email us. We won't write it down on a sheet of paper because once again, we can't read your wonderfully neat handwriting, okay? So, for today's agenda, let me see if I can stop this and get to the agenda. Okay. So for today, adult learning principles, by the way, the bathroom's back that way if you need to go. We are going to remind Mary to speak up because once again, Richard's not here, so we cannot figure out how to use the speaker. What can I say? I speak very loud, Mary does not. So we're just going to say, Mary, speak up a lot so that y'all can hear. If you can't hear, bring your chairs and move forward. Okay, that's type of a thing. We're very laid back here, very relaxed. The Cibolo Bee Yard. Most of you who have been here a while know that in Boerne, Texas, at the Her Farm, the Cibolo Nature Center over there, we have our Club Bee Yard, and this is our mentoring program. We couldn't get people to take people on here and there, to bring them to their bee yards because of whatever reason. So we actually have 7 hives that are in this place in Boerne. And twice a month, you can go up and sign up on the Sign Up Genius, a program, and we have information on how to do that on our Facebook page, and I send it out periodically. I'll send another email out. And you don't have to have a suit, you don't have to have any experience. You just come as a volunteer and we'll put you in a suit. If you have a suit, please bring your suit, okay? But we put you in there and we have a volunteer leader. Dave Brennan's one, where are you? Right there. And Ryan's one. And I'm one, Tara's not here tonight, and Brennan boys are 2 other ones. So, and Georgina's in the training to be one, Richard's in the training to be one. So anyways, we will take you through the hives. We cannot guarantee the common bees, we're working on that, but you'll get lots of experience. It's about 4 hours. And there's usually they're Thursdays and Saturdays, so fully take advantage of this. The Sign Up Genius is very easy to get onto, the directions and everything. If you read it, it's all there. So it's going really, really well. In fact, it's going so well that we have decided that we need a bee yard manager. Linda can't keep doing all these hats. Okay, so we are looking if there's anybody that's sort of close to burning, because you're gonna have to go twice a month. You don't have to go on the day that the club's going. You have to go a little bit ahead of time to make sure everything is present and ready and working order. If you need to do some supplies and stuff. This is gonna be posted. If you're interested at all in becoming a club manager, you will be part of the leadership team then, okay? For people who are working on their Master Beekeeper program, this will count as points for that. If you want to become, you have to hold a position in a leadership position for a year. That's some way that you get some points. So this will count for that too. So just keep in mind that that's something we're looking for. I won't make us go through.
Days?
No, you would set your schedule. It would be your schedule.
Charge you to get in?
Yeah, we give you the code to get in and show you around where everything is, where the power levels are. We just won't say, here, go do it. We'll talk to you about it. And you'll be also on a link with the volunteer leaders, so you'll be hearing what the volunteer leaders, wherever we're having problems, and of course you'll be linked to me directly at the hip. Okay, not micromanagement, just in case you need me, that type of thing, because I hate micromanaging.
Thank you.
Pardon?
They still charge you to get in?
No, they're so happy that we're there, you don't get charged to be our
I
bee.
thought originally they were.
No, there's no charge, they're happy to have our bees there. So anyways, I will be posting those and sending the email out with that job description a little bit more. Field day update. Did anybody attend the field day? Okay, a little quieter than before, you know what I mean? We only had 180 versus the 250 we've been growing. This was a little bit challenging for us to put together this year, just little oddball things. So we figured we wanted to really boost it next year and really get it going. So we are going to spend big bucks and bring in a big name speaker. Think of anybody in the United States that you want to come and do at least a 2.5 hour presentation. Randy Oliver, Jamie Ellis, name some other people there. Bob Benny. What I need from everybody is we're going to try to see if we can get somebody to come at no cost to you. The club will pay for the airfare, the hotel, whatever. We'll take care of all that. So this we figure would be a very big draw because we know lots of people are going to come. It will have to be, you will have to get a ticket ahead of time because we can only hold so many people in the building, because of fire codes and stuff. Our club people would have the first rights to get in tickets, and then once a certain amount of time, then we will open it up to other clubs that might want to come to that. So that's something that we're thinking of, but we need names. So I'm going to put a post up on Facebook, and I'm going to send an email out saying, give me the names, and we're going to put them all down. We'll do a poll, see who are the top 4 people, and then we'll try to get them. So we're going to infuse some really fun and great education for you for next year's field day. This was Richard's idea. It's a great idea. We're all really thrilled about that. We don't know what the topic will be. It depends on the presenter, but we're really excited about that. I wanted to let you know there's a new varroa mite treatment out there. I don't know if has anybody seen these yet? Well, it's a good thing that I brought them up. One of my clients had this. It's called Varroa Sand. It's a 20-pack. So it's oxalic acid. And anybody who's been following beekeeping for a long time know that we started off with a vapor that you'd put in. CG out there, you can ask him about the hive he burned down with the vapor. He did. I'm at work and I get this picture of this hive. It was really sad for the bees. But it was hot in July and he put the vapor in there. And you were only supposed to keep it on for 10 seconds, and he forgot to turn it off. He went and did something, he turned around, the hives all on fire. So many of us were doing vapors at the beginning, and then we went to the dribble where you put the oxalic acid. For those of you who don't know what a varroa mite is, it is our arch nemesis that we're fighting with our beekeeping. And we have to do some treatments sometimes to bring the numbers down. And it's hard, we don't want to put chemicals in, and there's a lot of chemicals that we can use. But oxalic acid comes from a plant, so it is one of the more naturally based substances that we have. But the use of it is a little bit more challenging. This makes it kind of easy. I saw these. There are these long strips. They're on a fiber board. You put it in, and you put it over 1 or 2 frames. You just bend it over, and it goes in the brood area where the bees are, okay? And it is organic. Oxalic acid cannot penetrate capped brood, so it stays in there for the 45 whatever, 56 days. So it goes through 3 cycles of 7, 7, and 7. So you're getting all the bees in it. So it treats for them. They don't say directly that you should use it during honey flow. They say try not to if you can't, but it is been proven not to be in the wax because it's a natural thing, like a plant and a flower, so that you can, if you really have a problem and you need to use it during the honey flow. This is the first one I think that I've seen that you can do the honey flow on. I would still personally try not to treat if I could during the honey flow. So there's a little bit about it, but I just wanted you to know, I know Man Lake has it. I did not research to see who else has it, okay? But that's just something I thought I'd bring for your attention that y'all can start to maybe take a look at as another option maybe for your toolkit.
What does it cost?
I want to say it was like $39 for the 20 pack.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's par with the other ones, and it comes in a thing like this. And I think I think you can just put it in and fold it over and put it in another bag if you don't use them all, unlike some of the other ones, once you open it, like the little Apivar ones, the strips are out, that type of a thing. So that's kind of cool.
Are they readily available?
Yeah.
Location?
Yeah. I mean, you can go on Man Lake, he just ordered them. I don't know if it's anyplace else, I'm assuming they just approved it, whoever the powers to be approve things for beekeeping, the FDA or whoever does it, they just approved it not too long ago. So I'm sure Dayamp must be carrying it also. I don't think Man Lake has the market on it. Okay, I think that's enough for housekeeping. What we're gonna go ahead and do now is I'm gonna introduce our guest speaker. And did I say it with Frushour? Frushour. Mary Frushour, I wanted to make sure, is a member of our club, and she also happens to be a Texas master naturalist, plant guru type person. And I asked her, because we all know that every year and a half we love to have our plant talk, and everybody just absolutely loves, what can we plant for our bees? She's going to take a little twist and talk about the native gardening for the beekeeper. Some of the things that have a chance of actually living in hill country versus some of those box store things. So if you just give us a second. Oh, Mary, let me tell you a little bit about Mary. Where'd she go? Here she is. Okay, she's lived in a lot of places. When I asked her for her bio, there were at least 6 places that she lived at. But she lives in Fredericksburg, and so she knows hill country, and she's been here 14 years. So she knows the challenges that we face tremendously. She has lots of degrees, of which I like all of them, in veterinary science, religion, philosophy, and art. She served in the military and a National Guard. I mean, this is like really kind of cool. And I'm a nurse, so I like the surgical tech and medic, so that's kind of cool. She's in the program, and she also coordinates a pollinator garden assistance and recognition program, which, are you gonna mention anything about that? No?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, she's gonna mention that. That's really kind of cool. And so she's just like a plant expert, so now you get to tap her mind. So Mary, if you want to come up here, and I will then move on and try to do this switcheroo thing here. Of course I have, why don't you come up here? This is our college student, Lindsay helped me out tremendously. Can you get her program up on the screen? Sure. Thank you. Much easier that way. There we go. It's starting. It's doing the thing. They say blue, but it's green.
Here it comes.
Cross your fingers. I can't do it without you. There we go. Okay, all right, and I don't speak well loudly. Please just wave your arms or something and get my attention, and I will try to speak up. I am not a plant expert by any means, okay? I've been learning for 14 years about the plants that grow here and actually might survive here. So that's my expertise. It's what I've done in my own yard and what I've been helping people set up pollinator gardens in their homes and businesses or any place where they'd like to have one. We help, we don't do the physical work. We go there and we see what they need or what they want and what area they're looking at, and we give them recommendations as far as sunlight and how much water it gets or shade or you know, where it's located, all that kind of thing. We just help them figure out what kind of plants would probably grow the best in their area that they're interested in. That's what the Pollinator Garden Assistance and Recognition Program is. I did not come up with that name, but that's what it is. We call it PGARP, so if I talk about PGARP, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's a program actually, and it'll explain later also, but it's a program that we do, Texas Master Naturalists started, and then we had the Native Plant Society of Texas, 3 different, it's Bernie, Kerrville, and Fredericksburg chapters have joined us in this program. We do it together, and so it's, we have a lot of good people that help us, and we're always looking for more volunteers because it is a hands-on type of thing. We go to people's homes or their business, they set up an appointment with us, and it may take an hour or 2, and then we give them a report, and they can go on from there or ask more questions. So it just helps them, especially if they've just moved to the area and they have no idea what grows here. And I personally came here with a pickup truck packed full of plants from my garden up in Iowa at the time. And a lot of them were heritage plants or from my great grandma and my mom and everybody else, and I didn't want to leave them behind, and so I brought them down, and almost all of them died now except for a couple. So I was very sad, but you know, with 100-degree summers and you know, below 0 sometimes winters, and the crazy weather that we have here, it takes special plants to survive this stuff, as you probably already know. And I feel like I'm already preaching to the choir here about all of this, so if anybody wants to correct me, just feel free. So.
I just got a quick question.
Yes.
If you come out and do an assessment, you know, for our area, and you give us a plan or whatever process that you go through, you have contacts in the different locations around?
Yes,
that
I'm
can
the main
actually
coordinator,
effectuate it?
but we have a group in Fredericksburg, a group in Bernie, and a group in Kerrville area. And we cover 10 counties. So most of that's, I think, I'd say 6 to 7 counties is where we do most of our assistance. But we do have people that will cover that 10 county area that will go out and meet with you and look at your garden and help you. So, yeah, does that answer your question? Okay. So anyway, I'll get back to that program later, but I do this sometimes especially for that program, this mainly talk about native plants and the importance of those, and also about our pollinators and how important they are. Okay, now I know everybody here probably already knows what pollination is, but just in case there's that one person out there that doesn't really know what's going on there, it's just moving pollen from one plant or one flower of a certain type of plant to another flower of the same species, and that way it has fertile seeds and can reproduce. Okay, almost 90% of all the flowering plants need to be pollinated by animals of some sort, mostly the insects and things. Okay, so it's an important process for our world, basically. Okay, you know, why do we really care about pollinators? What's the big deal, other than we're beekeepers now, and now we are very interested in some of the pollinators. This is a big part of it. I don't think I need to read all of that, but you can see how much money is involved in these and what they help us produce in the world. This honeybee part is one I just found recently. I've never seen them pulled out like this and telling what they are doing for us in agriculture. I was surprised it was that much, but I guess I shouldn't be, so. 1/3 of our food that we eat right now, we have because we have pollinators. If every one of them dropped dead tomorrow, we had no more pollination going on like this, 1/3 of your food would be gone immediately. So it's a big deal. And people that aren't involved with pollinators don't understand that concept. They think, oh, it's just the tree huggers are yelling again and, you know, whatever. It's us, it's our food chain. So we need to take care of them as much as they need us. So we really need to spread that word to people that just don't understand that concept. Okay, so there are a lot of different things can pollinate. The wind, some water, some plants are self-pollinating. I don't think there's that many, I'm not sure on the numbers here. Animals are really the biggest, the way this happens, and most of that is because of the insects. So butterflies, moths, bats, beetles, well, not bats, but the beetles and the bees. And here I have to talk about native bees because I love honeybees, but they are not native. So in case you didn't know that, they are from Europe, probably brought over in 1600s with the Europeans. And we all love them because we love their honey and they're fun, but they aren't native. So, but they have adapted well, most of them. They survive for the most part, as far as their food goes and with our plants, so that works out. Okay. There we go. Whoops, too many wrong ones. Okay, did I go too many? I'm sorry, I went too far. Here we go, okay. Okay, so this is talking about native insects and bees, okay? Native animals, in Texas only. This isn't worldwide or US-wide, this is just in Texas, the numbers that we're looking at, right? The latest ones I could find. The best pollinator we have at all is our native bees, okay? Honeybees do a great job. Native bees really, I think they're more productive or more adapted to it. It's hard to measure a lot of things with the native bees because most of them are solitary and you can't keep track of all of that all the time. But they can go anywhere from tiny bees, they look like little tiny bugs or flies almost or something, to the big giant bumblebees that we have. So a lot of times you'll see things on there and you won't realize what it is. It's probably a native bee. So it's kind of fun to start watching these things and look at them. They're all different colors and shapes. Some of them look like a wasp, but it's really a bee. So it's interesting. But there's a lot of things out there that are pollinating that we just don't even pay attention to. Okay, we all know our numbers we're having trouble with the numbers worldwide with honeybees and with our native bees also. This is just some of the things that are going on. This is just very broad, but it is alarming because of things. I don't think it's going to be getting any better soon unless people start paying attention. So this is just some of the reasons that we're losing native bees and the honeybees. For our honeybees, I listed 3 biggest things I could think of. Somebody else that's more into honeybees will probably have other things too. But I think those are the 3 things I think about all the time. Also, loss of habitat, like anywhere where they're building, you know, all these houses are great, and then they have this little tiny yard that's about this big, and they have maybe a tree that's probably not native, and they spray their lawns, and it's beautiful green lawn and no weeds, and it's just dead. I mean, basically it's sterile. It doesn't support any wildlife. It's just to look at, you know. And if that's what you like, that's okay, but it doesn't help our wildlife at all, our pollinators. The pesticides, you guys all know this. All of the stuff that we use around the house, and we just use a little bit here and a little bit there. This stuff does not go away. Everybody thinks, oh, it says it's all safe and it's great. This stuff does not go away. It goes somewhere. Now, where it goes, I don't know. It goes into the ground, it goes into our groundwater, it goes into our food, it goes everywhere. And, you know, sure, you kill the bugs, and then something comes along, eats the bug, now it's got it, now something eats that, now it's got it. It's everywhere. So just be careful if you're going to use something. Please be very careful how you use it, where you use it, and make it count. Don't walk around. I see people going out with spray bottles and they're just spraying everything and it's floating through the air, and just be very careful. A lot of homeowners associations go around and just spray around the roads and spray all kinds of things. Just be aware of what's going on out there, because it may affect your bees too. Especially the neonics. If you can, I'm not gonna go too much into this, but if you Google this, go in there with this, you'll see this word. They're especially horrid for our pollinators. So if you start looking on the backs of your containers, go online and look up this word and say what products, you know, what is this called on our products. Start looking at your products that you're using around your house, and you'll be surprised some of the stuff that you're gonna find in there. This stuff is just terrible stuff, okay? So, okay. All right, so what the best thing we can do is to plant our native plants that are here for the hill country. And when I say native plants, I'm talking about literally the native plants for the Edwards Plateau or the hill country. We have 10 or 11 different ecoregions in Texas alone, and they all have their own special environment and ecosystem. They have their own different weather, completely. Things that grow in Houston, you probably have people here from Houston somewhere, at some point lived in Houston, or in Dallas even, or in El Paso, or you know, New York or California. All these places are completely different than what we have right here. It's like a little bubble, and they're all different. So some things that will survive here won't survive there, and vice versa. Even though you might go in and they'll say, oh, this is a Texas native, it'll be great here. Well, it might be native out in El Paso, but it's not gonna do well here when it hits, you know, 30, 20 degrees or whatever, and starts snowing. So it just depends. Make sure that you have something that's native for our area. It's gonna survive a lot better for you. All your pollinators have to have fresh water. We'll look at that some more in a little bit. And try to limit those pesticides if you can. Okay, so why do we worry about native plants? When I moved here, I was totally clueless about native plants. I'd heard the word before on occasion, but I didn't really understand what it meant. And I thought, these people are crazy. They're talking about all this weird stuff. And then I went through the training for the Master Naturalist, and it completely changed my world. So it really opened up my eyes to what's going on out here. So these are the main reasons, I guess, that we like to use native plants, okay? We want it to look like the hill country. okay? We don't want it to look like China or India or, wherever these plants that you see around come from. We want it to look like home, and this is home. So our wildlife here have evolved over years and years and years, along with the native plants that have evolved here also with them. They need each other to survive. So that's the main point that we want to make. That's why you want to have those. It's the best thing for our wildlife. It's the best thing for our world, our environment. The native plants here, if they're from this area, they're hardier. They're not gonna need you to put a sprinkler system out there and sprinkle them every day and get water to them every day and twice a day and whatever else that some other places do. You don't need that, okay? You need to do it a little bit at first till they get a root system. Once they're established, I hardly ever water my plants. And they aren't the prettiest plants in the world because sometimes they get a little dry looking, but they survive and they come back and they do their job. And it's great. You can give them a little more water if you want to, it doesn't hurt most of them, but you don't have to go out and be worried about turning your sprinklers on and wasting water. We have such a problem with water here. So native plants are the way to go. So you just don't have to waste that water. They're less susceptible to pests and diseases, and less likely to become invasive. So, okay. So if it isn't native, then what is it? What do you call it? Okay. These are the kind of some of the you can get 10 different answers when you ask these questions. I went to specific kind of places to get these answers, so it'd be general. So basically, if it isn't from this continent that you're on, it's not native, it's not I'm sorry. If it's not from here, it's exotic, okay, from this continent, all right? Adapted is one that has been brought in from somewhere else, but it actually does well here, and the wildlife may or may not use it, but it's not, well, I guess that's pretty much here. It does thrive here, okay? Then then you have an adapted plant, possibly, that you bring in, and it thrives there, and it thrives so well because it has no competition, no predator, nothing that would keep it under control, and it becomes invasive, okay? This is like the bad word in pollinators and native plants, okay? You never want to put in an invasive plant. If you can help it, you'll be very sorry if you do. You may already have them in your yard. I'm not going to tell you to run home and burn it down. I'm just going to say you may want to look into things and decide if you want to keep it there or not. They do cause economic and environmental harm and possibly harm to human health in a lot of different ways. So we'll talk some more about that too. These are, I'm just going to run through these quick because you could go on forever, but these are what they call the dirty dozen in this area and then Texas, I believe. And you'll see these everywhere. Once you know about these, you start walking around a neighborhood and just looking at people's yards. You'll see this, especially this one, you just hate this one. You'll see them everywhere, and once people have them, because back years ago when they built houses and they put the gardens in, they had people come in and do it, and they planted this everywhere. They're around the whole house, a big hedge of it. It's real pretty and turns red, and it's horrible. Okay, it's horrible. Once you have it, it's almost you can get rid of it, but it's very hard. It's very hard. And also, I believe this is the same one that has the berries in it. And people think, oh, it's good for the birds. I see the birds eating the berries. Well, if the birds eat enough of them, they die. Okay, you don't see it happen in front of your window, but it happens. Okay, they're very bad. So just And the ligustrums everywhere also. Anyway, just keep an eye out for these things and you'll start seeing what I mean. Japanese honeysuckle, the China berry, I moved into it, I bought our property, and there was this one tree way down in the valley by this little creek that only happens when it rains. And it was right beside that little dry gulch. Beautiful tree, had all this stuff on it. It's a China berry. Went down with my husband and we whacked it off. It's gone. Because I'm sure every time it rains and that stream got going, all those seeds went right downstream to whoever else in the county now has them also. Okay, I don't have any more there, but they travel and then they start going. So that's just what happens. Elephant ears, you've probably seen those. Johnson grass, I just is one of my worst things ever that I get on my property, and I'm fighting it all the time. I also have completely covered with KR blue stem. I think a lot of people around here are. That's not something you can probably really get rid of. It's just, no, it's there. The paper mulberry and the tree of heaven, or some other ones you'll see around. So, if you ever want to know anything about invasives in our area, go to texasinvasives.org. They have a lot of information on there about things, so it's a good site. Okay, so we're gonna you guys wanna put a pollinator garden in for your bees, I'm assuming. You wanna do something like that, or stuff on your property. Why do you want a garden? Is it just so the bees have something to eat? Do you wanna do any of these things? You can use it for more than one thing. I use mine also. I made a big giant mound that went across my yard when we moved in, because we're on a little bit of a slope and you get that 4-inch rain overnight and all of a sudden you got this water coming up to your house. So I put a big mound in and I made it a big pollinator garden, but it also helps redirect the rainwater. So you can do a lot of things with your gardens in different ways. And then mine looked really great for about 1.5 years, and the deer came over the cow fence and decided, and now it was their buffet. So that's why that's now it is a red rock granite, you know, with plants, but very different than it started out. Okay, these are the main things I think you need to think about, depending on where you're gonna plant your garden. The biggest thing is deer here, to me. If you have deer that have access to this area, wherever you're gonna plant, you can still do it. It just makes a big difference on what you plant and how you do it. Your list goes from this to this. That's actually maybe gonna survive the deer. And there are things out there, they don't mostly, nothing is permanent, nothing's 100% with deer, depending on how hungry they are. But there are several that they usually don't touch. So there is hope if you have deer. You just have to get some good recommendations there. Size and placement, you gotta make sure you know when you pick your plants and your shrubs and your trees. Over and over I planted things, oh, it's great, you know, this is gonna be great, and, you know, and I plant it, and it's like this big in this little tiny place, you know. So make sure, you know, you look up each plant, how big its maximum size will be. Just assume it's going to be that size, okay? And plant accordingly. Let's see, sunlight is another big one. Most of our native plants do wonderful in full sun, okay? Which is great, because a lot of times you don't have a shady area. But there are some that will do partial and some that will do shade, but the lists are smaller for those. Water, are you gonna water it with a hose all the time whenever it needs it? Are you gonna just depend on the rain? If it's underneath a tree, you know, you have to make sure that it's going to get rainwater or somehow get some water at some point. You just have to look around. Wildlife, they need a fresh source of water. Either, that's my bird bath, I keep it filled all the time, which is hard, sometimes it's 3 times a day, cause I have deer that come up there and they drink it dry every night, so, you know, either a fountain, a stream, whatever works for you. You have to have some time for maintenance. Usually with a native garden, you don't have to do as much maintenance as you would with exotics and things, because you're trying to keep them alive all the time. And you have to water, and you have to fertilize, and you have to do all this stuff. You don't fertilize native plants for the most part. You'll probably kill them if you start doing that. They like it nasty. They like rock and dirt and caliche sometimes, and I mean, some of them are different, but it's like the worst, I don't know how to say it, I guess. If you treat them really bad, they like it, they grow better. I don't know why, they're very hardy, most of them, once they get going. So if you start babying them and putting someone will say, well, you need to put this on. No, you don't. You don't usually have to do that. It might kill them, okay? Temperatures. I live up on a ridge about 20 miles from Fredericksburg. They have different microclimate in Fredericksburg than I do. So it's generally about the same, but in the winter it can make a huge difference. We're always colder than it is in Fredericksburg. So depends on where you're located and buildings around. Does it shelter your garden? Just in certain areas of my garden are completely different, where the cold will kill certain things there, but not here. So you have to pay attention to that kind of thing. Weed pest control. I do not spray, won't say ever, but it's very rare, and I'm very careful if I have to spray something. I use cardboard for my weed control, for the most part. So I don't know, is anybody familiar with the cardboard method? A few people? Okay, so I saved up boxes and Amazon boxes and whatever, got my neighbors to donate. What?
Petco.
Yes. So, yeah, and chewy boxes. So, yeah, and so if you save those up, you just open them up, flatten, you get down to the dirt or whatever, and you just put your boxes out there and flatten, and you overlap them a little bit all over. Leave a space around your plant that you want to have there. If it's already there, leave some space for that water to get to them. You don't want to choke it off. And then you cover it up with either mulch or red granite or whatever you want to do. And this is just one way for weed barrier. I hate plastic weed barrier. It breaks down eventually, and now we have more plastic in our dirt. Now we have more plastic in everything, and it's a mess. And usually you'll go to dig some and the whole thing starts pulling out, and it's a mess. Anyway, that's just me. I like the cardboard method. It does disintegrate over time under there, becomes part of the dirt. It helps the ecosystem. It recycles. If it's bad and I need some more, I just put some more on there and just pull the stuff back, put it down and put the stuff back on top. I'm all set to go. It kills what's under there, any weeds, because it doesn't get any light. It's great. It's just one way to do it.
I had a neighbor that we pulled old carpeting out of a place, and she wanted all the carpeting that she placed down, and then she seeded it. And it actually wound up stabilizing the ground in the weed control.
Well, that's good. Yeah,
Except it was synthetic, obviously, but it did deteriorate.
That's one way to do it. Yeah, there's several ways to do it. That's just the one I chose. I had a huge area and it was out of control and I couldn't keep up without spraying, and I thought, I'm not gonna spray.
Okay.
So I got the weed whacker and I just whacked it down as low as I could. I covered them up. It was great. So, okay, depends on what kind of pollinators you want to attract. Here we want our honeybees, of course. If you have specific things you wanna do, like butterflies or things you're interested in. You can plant specific plants that may attract them more. Children, pets, livestock. Several of these plants are toxic to these things, especially your young children, grandchildren. You have to pay attention to that if that's an issue for you. So just keep it in mind when you're planting your garden. Be flexible. You'll plant something here and then it just doesn't do well, and you just keep trying to get it to work, and all of a sudden it shows up over here. And you're going, I don't want it over here, I want it over here, and you try it again, and then again it shows up over there. And so I finally gave up, going, it knows where it wants to be and it's doing well. I'm gonna leave it there and it does well. So just be prepared for that. This is something you should all go on the site. If you haven't seen this before, go on there and get that information, because before you landscape out your yard, or even if you have already, you may want to look at this and go through and reevaluate. Especially what happened in Fredericksburg not too long ago. My friend's house, it came right up to their house and it went around, and it didn't hurt their house. It burned everything else down. But they had the space they needed to keep it from burning. So it's very important around here to have that information. It might save your house, it may not, but it might. So it's an important thing. Okay, so you want to buy plants. There's several nurseries around Medina. There's some in Kerrville. There's some in there's one in Fredericksburg. There's a few around here that sell native plants. No nursery I know of only sells native plants. So be careful when you go to buy them, even though they say, oh yes, we have native plants. Well, they also have exotic things from everywhere around the world, because people want them. For some reason, I don't know why, but they want them because they like them, they're pretty, they flower, they just want to see something pretty. That's great, but now you know the difference, so you have to make your choices. Ask the people there, if you're not sure, ask them these questions. Is this a hill country native? They'll say, well, it's a Texas native. Yeah, well, what part of Texas? Make sure you're getting what you need for this area, so it will survive. It may survive from another area, but it may not. It may survive for a couple of years, and all of a sudden we have a really bad winter or really bad summer, and then you're done. So just check those things out. Make sure it's not one of those dirty dozen, maybe. And there's other ones also on that website if you go to it. Just know what you're getting. I walk around in a nursery even now, and I see something. If I'm not 100% sure, I look at the scientific name on it and I look it up right there when I'm standing there. The wildflower.org is one of the best sites. It's the Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center. And they have everything that's about native will probably be listed on that site. If it's not on there, it's probably not native here. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that's what I believe. So it's a good one to just, you have to work around it a little bit, but it's a good site. Okay. What am I not doing? Did I do that? Yeah, I did. Okay. Okay, this is just some of my favorite flowers here, my favorite plants that I see tons of pollinators on. Crossvine. This is not a trumpet vine. They're very different. They look similar. Trumpet vines there are some trumpet vines that are native here, so they're not necessarily bad. They can be very almost invasive. So unless you have it out somewhere on the back 40 on a fence, somewhere you don't care how big it gets or how many you get, you may want to get a crossvine. So crossvines get about 10, sorry?
Is it deer proof?
They have nibbled on that on a couple of years for me. It's right where they can get to it, but now they just, they leave it alone.
Okay.
So it's pretty, at my house, it's pretty, and they eat almost everything at my house. So they have tried it just for about a year or so, and then they just ate a little bit of it, but they didn't go for it, so, which I'm glad. These are wonderful. I love these plants. They can be heavy, have some kind of a support for them. I have a big iron arch that I let it grow over. You can have it grow up big heavy trellises, things like that. It gets about 10 to 12 feet maybe max, and it spreads down. They're beautiful. They bloom several times a year. Mine does. Mostly in the spring is the biggest one. And I love going out there and I see all these bumblebee rear ends sticking out of these big flowers. The flowers are like this big around. They're gorgeous. It's just a really good one. So, tropical sage, Texas lantana. They're mixed in there. I love this stuff. I planted 3 of those tropical sages in my yard. My first native sale I went to, I was so excited. And they have spread. It spreads, it reseeds. It's wonderful. I let them seed wherever they want to go. I just let them come up. The finches love them. The different birds get on there, and after they go to seed, they're on there eating all the seeds. And the bees love them. The hummingbirds love them. They're great. The lantana, if you get lantana, the best kind is just the native yellow, orange, Texas lantana. Okay, they have purple trailing, and they have Dallas red, and they have all these cultivars, and some of them may survive at your house. They don't at mine. They die every time, but I've seen them in other places. They can be real pretty. The one that's going to be the best for you is that just plain Texas lantana. It's an awesome plant. It can get very large, or you can trim it back, but everything loves it. So there you go. Maximilian sunflowers. They can get pretty tall. They can get this big. They're very thin. They only bloom for just a while in the fall, but the bees sure love them, and a lot of my pollinators love them. So. I have very messy flower beds. I just let things kind of go where they want to go most of the time. Your autumn sage, they come at least 3 different colors that I know of. All of them are fine. Red, pink, and white, and they may have other ones now, I don't know. But those are, they bloom off and on all summer, and spring, summer, and fall. So it's a good one to have. Your 4-nerve daisies are good. They're really good. They're a lot smaller, so they're good to have out a lot of places. And Greg's blue mist. Anybody have that? Yeah. That's just a great butterfly magnet, especially the queens and monarchs come for that. I don't know if you can see on there. There's probably 15 at 20 different butterflies. So those are all queens that are on there right now. That's like that movie, if you plant it, they will come, kind of thing. This is it. If you do nothing else, put one of these in there, and they will slowly spread. I plant a couple of them beside each other. They'll get bigger over a couple years in your bed. They're wonderful. They're really wonderful.
I noticed that they don't like the white mist as much, the Greg's white mist. They don't seem to like that as much as the Greg's blue mist, because there's a white one also.
Well, there's a white mist flower. Are you talking about a shrub, or is it a plant like this?
I think it's like that one. I
Okay.
have the white mist flower, but I thought over the guy told me not to do the white ones.
See, maybe they've come up with another cultivar, I don't know. They might have, I don't know. They do have, which I don't have a picture of it, I'm glad you brought it up, they have a white mist flower. It's a shrub. It's awesome. It blooms out white all over mine. I planted 2 at the same time in different beds, like right here, one's in shade in the afternoon, one's in full sun. The one in the afternoon shade is at 2 or 3 times the size of the other one. So maybe it just likes that little extra shade. When that thing starts blooming, I can hear it in the house. When my window's open, I can hear it clear out there. The whole thing's humming. I've never seen so many different pollinators on one bush ever in my life. There's tiny ones to butterflies to bees, everything's on there at the same time, and they don't care. They're all just going to town. So it's a great, it's called a white mist flower.
A white mist flower.
It's a shrub.
I love that.
Yeah. It's a great one. Any type of milkweeds are always good to help our monarchs too, so. Clammy weed, I know it's not a nice name, but it's great plant. I don't see these sold out there anywhere. I actually brought some of these with me from Iowa, cause I didn't know they had them here, I had no idea. But they do, all those pods are full of seeds, and they will reseed, and then the main plant will die back in the fall, and I just leave it, and in the spring I just snap it off, and all of a sudden I'll have new ones coming up. They come up a little bit late in the spring, so you think it's a weed, but it's not, or you think you're not gonna get them, but they come up a little bit later in the spring. They come up, and then all of a sudden they start shooting out from that stem, and you might have you can see right through it, it's not thick, but you'll have these big white balls with pink on them a little bit. The swallowtails especially just love these. I know I've seen the bees on them a lot. They're great. So, I do have some seed. I hate to say that because I don't know how much I have, but in case somebody can't find some somewhere, if everybody starts asking for these things at the nurseries, they might start actually getting them in, which would be nice, because this is really a good one. And if you don't like where it's coming up, you just pop it out when it starts coming up, and no big deal. Otherwise, you let them go, and they get, in the fall, sometimes when it's 100 degrees out, the only thing I see blooming out there is that clammy weed. And everything else is kinda struggling, and it's still going to town. Here's some more autumn sage. Engelmann's daisy is a good one, and yarrow. Those are all really good ones. So, okay, different water sources. That's my bee water that I came up with, because I have every critter known to man on my property, and they all come out at night and get into everything. So I have to put it in a cage, and with a giant block on it. They still reach in there, the raccoons, I'm sure, and they're pulling the rocks out and stuff at night. But and I have small animals. I've seen birds flying in there and getting a drink. It's like whatever, you know. But I know if my bird bath goes dry and I'm not home, the bees have a place to get water. So I can put up to 5 gallons in that, and it lasts at least for a while, even when it's really warm. I keep that about, I don't know, 100 feet from the hives, and they know where it is. So, and then the rest of the time they're up in my bird bath getting a drink. So these are just different types of puddlers or things for other pollinators, but they have to have fresh water all the time. Okay, this is that program I was talking about that I take care of mostly. It is, if you call us and have us come out and check your garden, and then you put in a pollinator garden and it meets the minimum requirements, which are very little, really. They have to meet those certain requirements. We'll come back out, check it out, and if everything's great, you get one of these really cool signs to put up in your garden or on your fence or something. And then all your neighbors go, what is that? And then you can tell them all about why you need native plants in your yard and to help our pollinators.
Does it cost to have you come out?
No, it's a free service. And this is free also.
Yeah.
This one's, sorry, that's an alarm, not a thing.
I had them come out to my place when I first bought my property, and it was awesome. 2 people came out. Now, I don't know how long they normally stay, but they were with me, they walked my 5 acres, and we looked for invasives, we looked for berms, we looked for what my goals were, and how to break it down so it was manageable. And then they sent me this like awesome report, and all these suggestions and things that we talked about. It was just absolutely fascinating.
No, we had-
And they spent a lot of time with me, you can tell that they truly, truly loved what they were doing.
Yeah, our people do, they really like it. We have 2 actually different programs, and I'm not sure which one came to your place.
Yeah.
If it was the PGARP, or if it's called LMAP, it's just for larger pieces of property. And they will do that and go through everything.
Yeah, it might have been for that one, and we did talk about pollinator gardens starting.
Yeah, usually if it's like 10 acres or more, they'll have the LMAP people come. But if you're specifically wanting a pollinator garden, then we come, or a smaller area around your house, and that, we can do that part.
Do they also talk about, the native, putting in native grasses?
Yes,
They will do that,
Sure.
cause, that's what I would like to do, a lot of it's all caliche, it's bare.
yes, and the more grass you can get in, the natives, the better, and,
How do you get rid of native grass?
Oh, I wish I could do that.
I ordered soil.
It
Dropped
came in the
soil, so
soil.
I put it everywhere, and now I got this native grass. Never had none.
I've got it. Hate
Get rid of
it,
it.
hate it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I know, depending on how big a space you're talking about.
I tried your cardboard, I've tried to put stuff over the top of
Plastic.
it, I've done the vinegar thing, I've done, it's still there.
I don't have a good answer for you. It's the the 100, well, one way would be to spray it with all this horrible stuff, and that might kill it, but I wouldn't recommend that at
I
all.
don't want it, I don't.
Yeah, I
want
know,
stuff.
I don't either. So, maybe I can direct you to somebody else that might be able to help you, but I haven't found a true, everything works for that. I have it too. I didn't know when I moved here, and I put it in there.
That's what I did. Always
Somebody
soil.
said, oh, this is what you need to use, and I'm like, okay. Yeah, now I have it too, yeah, I know, I hate it. So, okay, this is the sign here, so, okay, so everything you do, especially we tell people, where the minimum requirement for a pollinator garden for us to recognize it as a pollinator garden is a 10 by 10 area, okay? Doesn't mean it all has to be in that 10 by 10. If the areas you have planted all meet up, or collectively are at least a 10 by 10 area, then you're fine. You can have them all in pots, we don't care. If you can put them on your porches, if you got, together it's all a 10 by 10 area, you're now a recognized pollinator garden. We live in a migratory path here, a huge migratory path in Fredericksburg area and this whole area coming up through Texas from Central America, South America, Mexico. We have lots of things going through back and forth. They need sustenance and habitat along their route. And it's going away quickly with all the building, everything going on, the spraying out in the fields. That's why we started that program. If one person can plant a 10 by 10 plot in their yard, and then somebody down the road has one, somebody else has one, they have places to go along their way.
Have you done well with seed at all? I know you keep talking about nurseries. Have you done well with
With
seed?
seed, I haven't really used seed. I know we have some people that grow in their greenhouses from seed. And they will grow things for our, native plant sales. So, I know people do that. I personally haven't done much of that, except for the clammy weed. The seeds I get, I just throw back out in different places, and they do well, but you know, I don't really grow them in a greenhouse or anything, so.
I walk a lot, and the area that I walk, the county comes and it will, mow the sides of the road. Right now, I'm seeing, like, I've taken the seeds, the pods from, a milkweed, milkweed, thank you, and, they didn't do very well. So, the plant is there, flourishing on the side of the road, I know it's gonna
Yes.
get, are you allowed to
Yeah,
dig
you can
them
dig
up,
them
or not?
Officially, legally, I'm not sure on that one. I have before. I think if it's in front of somebody's property, maybe you could ask them.
Mary Jane, I know where you
It's
live,
a right
nobody's
of
gonna
way.
bother you at all. There you go.
I can do it then?
So, I'll just tell you if it's the antelope horn, which sounds like it's what it is. I know from experience, when you go to dig that out, I have a full shovel down in the dirt and beyond, and I have to go deeper to get that little jabber root, and there's a bulb on it in there somewhere, and if you don't get that along with the whole root, then it may not make it. But you have to go really, really deep to get that.
Is that the same with milkweed then?
That is milkweed, the
Oh.
antelope horn milkweed that I showed you a picture
Oh,
of.
I'm talking about the ones with, this one is
The
not.
seed pods?
Yeah,
They
the-
get seed pods on them like
After?
that,
Well,
yes.
why do I have the seed pods now before I never saw the flower?
Maybe, are they from last year?
Yeah, it's been there for several years. I
Okay,
just
so
keep
maybe
looking
from-
by
Maybe
it.
it didn't open up for some reason last year, I don't know. But,
Okay,
yeah, so, but if milkweeds have those, at least that one does.
okay.
But you have the problem, she doesn't walk with a shovel.
I know.
No, I don't bring the
And I was Delphiniums one year, and they reseeded all over. The bees love poppies, I can't tell you how much they do. Oh, and the Delphiniums, they were okay, but the butterflies liked them more.
Yeah, I did that my first year here, and then the deer found them.
I just threw them out there.
They're done,
And they
yeah.
did it again this year, I got a bunch of them.
They lasted about 2 years at my house, and then the deer now, they're gone. They've eaten them all. They ate all mine off.
Really?
Oh, yeah, they're gone. I never have another one, yeah.
I'll be done, okay.
So, this is something you may wanna take a picture of. Linda, yes, sorry. I gave Linda a list with, also on the bottom, there's links, and she's gonna post that on the Facebook and
I'll put it
different
on
places.
Facebook and I'll send it out on the email
Okay,
list.
but this is one I didn't have at the time to put on there. I know it's long, but, this is a 4-page, list. This is from Texas A&M AgriLife, organization. And it's really, they developed it for the Austin area, but, so everything, it's not 100% for here, but it's pretty close. And it has a lot of really good plants on there. Has their bloom period, so you can tell. You also, I forgot to mention that, you wanna plant, for at least 3 seasons, okay? So you don't just plant everything that blooms just in the spring or in the summer or whatever. You need something blooming those 3 different seasons. And I'll just say offhand, in the fall, in the winter, I've seen rosemary is not a native plant here. It is adapted, and it actually does real well unless it gets super cold. That super freeze froze mine off. But,
But rosemary is very flammable.
yes, that is one, if you go on that Firewise site, it'll tell you that, which ones to plant, how far away from your home. You don't wanna plant that right up next to your house or under the eaves anywhere. It's very flammable, you don't want it there, but it is an important thing in your garden, I think, for me, because I know it provides shelter for the little birds in the winter. And also, I've seen it bloom off and on in the winter time here, just depends on the situation. But I've seen pollinators on there in the winter time when it's blooming. And it's one of the few things I've had.
Are you familiar with gypsum weed? It's called, the formal name is Datura.
Yes.
Bees love that. It opens those big, they look like trumpets,
It's a
big
moonflower.
blooms. And
Yes.
they go crazy in those little night-looking moth things. But
Yeah.
the bees will stay out after dark to get that
Yeah.
fresh nectar.
It's good for the bats also, if you have white blooming things at night.
And
they
it's
love
very
that.
hardy.
But I gotta say about that, if you have cattle or livestock, I would stay away from it.
They
because
won't eat it. I have
It
donkeys
can kill
and,
them.
I have donkeys and pigs and goats, and chickens, and none of them will touch it.
Cows will eat them sometimes.
Wow.
And they're very, very, very poisonous.
Mine are
They're very
country
toxic. And they're a great flower. I brought one with me from Iowa too, cause I
What's
love
it
them.
called?
No
And then I found, and they have spiky
It's not
seed pods, and when they eat them, it can kill them. So just, if you have an area where you don't have livestock and cattle, or you don't have to worry about things like that, you know, and it is, I think I call it invasive, I find it everywhere. Once I planted it somewhere, all of a sudden it shows up over there and over there and over there, and they get very large plants if you don't control them. So it's you know, it just depends on what you like in your yard. But if
It
you have
does receive.
grandkids, you know,
It's very prolific,
yes, yes.
very prolific.
You can hardly get rid of it if you don't want it, so it's depends on what you want in your yard, so.
What is that?
That Jimson weed, or it's called moonflower. It gets a beautiful big white flower, opens up at night. It's really gorgeous, but, I have cattle around our yard and all kinds of things, and there's no way.
Oleander's that way too, isn't it?
I'm sorry?
Oleander.
Yes, oleander, and that's not a native too.
And that's
A
poisonous.
lot of toxic plants, so if you have cattle or livestock, really, I put some books up here. One of them's Toxic Plants of Texas. That's the one, my vet recommended to me. I look up plants there, to see before I plant them in my yard or wherever it might get out to the livestock, to see if it's toxic. You may wanna look at that, that's a pretty good book, so. These other ones are just some of my go-tos I really like. What did I miss? Let's see, here's some more, some of these may be on that other thing she's gonna send you. These are all good sites, so.
I was gonna ask one question, you didn't bring up anything about the purple sage, the silver purple sage, do you use that?
The cenizo?
Mhm.
Yes,
That
that's
is
one of my
really
favorite, I should have had that on there. Yes, the cenizo or the Texas sage.
But they do bloom. quite a
Yes,
bit.
yes, that's the other one, in the winter time too, sometimes they'll bloom. Those are great, wonderful plants,
What about mountain laurel?
Mountain
Are
laurel,
they poisonous or not?
it is toxic. The seed pods I know are toxic. But it's a great plant, it's a very slow grower, but it's beautiful.
One
When it
time.
blooms, sorry?
Only blooms the one time.
Yeah, it blooms once a year, but it's beautiful plant, beautiful tree. But I know that at least the seed pods are toxic, cause I didn't plant it for the longest time because of that. So, but they're gorgeous plants, and they're
Deer
native.
tend to leave it alone.
Sorry?
Oh, do
The
they?
deer tend to leave mountain laurel alone. I've done
Okay.
a lot that have come up in the more wild area of our properties. And they don't live alone.
They don't.
It's not fenced. Almost everything else I've got caged.
Yeah, I have everything too, yeah.
Yeah, we're caged.
Yeah, cage.
I think that was it. So, okay, are there any questions?
We've been asking them.
A comment and a question. Comment, there's somebody in Centerpoint on Facebook Marketplace that is selling potted arundo. They call it river cane. And
Arundo?
they're selling it online. $20 a pop.
Run away.
It's awful. But the question I have is, how do you get wildflower seed to take in just typical hill country area where we're not watering it, because they don't have water?
Okay, when I first moved here, we have about 1 acre that's cow fenced off, so they can't get into the house, okay? And it was just dirt, the whole place was dirt, and, it was in the fall, and I was going crazy because I needed some green, I needed something, and I went to the Wild Seed Farm, and I got one of their big bags of just wildflower seed mixes, and in my head, I'm thinking, these are all native, they're not, but it was okay. I needed something to hold that dirt in there. And they said, just mix it with that clay sand that you get, from, Lowe's or wherever, like a 50-pound bag, it's like this big. And mix it with that seed, so it just, mix it all up, and then either put it in one of those hand things or a different one, or I just went out with a bucket and I just went like this, and I walked that acre and I just did this on the dirt, and I'm thinking, there's nothing gonna grow in this, it's nothing. They said you don't have to plow it or turn it or anything. It was a little rough, but they said you don't have to do anything, you just throw it out there, it's gonna grow. And I'm like, and the birds are gonna eat it all. And well, that was in October, and early spring, like January, February, all of a sudden I saw something coming up out there. I was like, really? It's coming up, and then nothing, another one, and then all of a sudden it was gorgeous.
Wow.
I didn't have to do anything. I didn't water it, I didn't do anything.
What was that you were just talking about?
Well, this was and I wouldn't recommend this tremendously, but I went to Wildflower, Wild Seed, yes. And they have some good seed, I'm not saying that, but just know that all of their seed isn't native for here. So, you have to pick and choose what you get. I would go to Junction for your seed.
It's actually they've got a store, and it's south of San Marcos, but it's got a New Braunfels, and that's the Junction. The farm is up there.
Right.
But they don't have a place you can get it in Junction.
Okay, but you can send they have catalogs.
They are online, so.
You go online, yeah, you can send for the catalog. You didn't like them? Oh, I love them.
Bad experience.
I'm sorry about that. I've had nothing but good stuff from
You're
them.
talking about the place in Fredericksburg?
Sorry?
You're talking about the place in Fredericksburg?
Well, that's the Wild Seed Farm is out here. That's in Fredericksburg. And they have some good seed, but their mixes, you just gotta see what's in there. Because not all of it's native.
We figured that.
Which I didn't know when but they deer eat them off anyway.
Yeah, that was the problem with deer.
Yeah.
Or when those little things come up, it's like, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone.
But, the native seed in Junction, I would recommend it. I guess somebody here had a bad experience. I've not ever heard of anything other than that's bad about them. They have all native seed. They can help you decide what you need for what area, and they ship it to you. So, that's where I would go for native grass, anything like that.
Native grass for injunction.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's some books if you want to look at.
Attention, whoa, up here. A lot of sidebar conversations I can't hear. I'm sitting right next door.
There's just some books here, if you're interested, and that have a lot of good information, just so you can see what they look like. This one actually is one of the, is on the link. It's actually, when you hit the link, it will go through those and show you the pages of it, on that. That's just a small version of the native plants, so. Is there any other questions?
So has anybody worked with Kerr County Soil and Water and their seed bags?
I've done the Bandera. Bandera has the same thing. You can go
Okay.
buy the 40-pound bag, whatever.
Yes.
And I've done
I've used
it I've done two twice,
I think.
and I haven't gotten anything out of it. I mean, I have grasses, but I don't have grasses to begin with, but I haven't had any flowers really come out of it.
Missy is my friend, and she was telling me, that in November to come and get a bag of them, and then,
I'm still trying. I just think,
Out.
I think you either get lucky with the way the weather goes or you don't.
and probably with the rain too, which we haven't had a huge
I think
amount
you're right.
in
Yeah.
that time of the year, but.
You Usually a plant and that kind of thing in November seems to work the best.
I wasn't sure if anyone had gotten any.
Probably
She
just
said
got
she's
the-
gotten positive feedback from other.
It probably just depends on, like she said, with the rain, you know. Some years we get nothing and other years it's great.
And you know, this year I would say was a nothing year in several counties all the way around here. There really wasn't a bluebonnet season. There, you know, we're getting, you know, some of the blanket flowers. The mountain laurels did not bloom at our place at all. It's a buildup of several years of drought, and the plants are in survival mode rather than, and so we're throwing out seed. And my hope is
Someday.
that next year, maybe after, you know, we've had a little bit of rain, that those seeds are actually gonna hit soil and take off,
They
where
might.
they didn't get normal.
If they stay there, with
Yeah,
the
that's-
gully washes we're having, the seeds.
They just relocated up there.
Right now, in my driveway. I have to go over
So you
them.
mentioned the LMAP,
Yes.
the larger.
Yes.
Do we get to them through the Beekeeper site? Will they direct us,
Okay,
or is that?
if you go, will it go back? Yeah, it should. Okay, maybe.
Let me put it on the thing here.
Yeah, I have your links, I'm just not sure which one it would be.
Oh, you're at the beginning?
Just, scroll way down.
I need to find out.
I'm running out of space to go down.
Right there, there's a sign, straight this over. Okay, if you go, to the Texas Master Natural site, and
Okay.
just go to the Hill Country, and then when you look at, don't put Pea Garden there, just put Hill Country. And at the top, it'll say, programs or something, and you click on that, and it drops down, and it'll have Pea Garden and LMAP, and I think
Okay.
something else. And then you can get to it that way. And they will come out and look at your property. You have to have, I think it's 10 acres or more, I think, to do that, I believe, so. But, anyway, anybody else?
Well, Mary will be around after, okay, so we're gonna. Pat, can you get the raffle ticket people? Okay, so we have a lot of people that bought raffle tickets, thank you. It cost us $125 for this room, and